The casinos really controlled Gardena as far as the elections go.
In the beginning, it was my opinion that the card clubs were controlling the government and the election of the people, and the people weren't being represented by their own selves, by the electorate. So in the beginning, I was with a group that was anti-card club.
Ernie Primm was a very good businessman. He was a very good entrepreneur. And he could be very charming. He's the man who started Gardena.
He was the instigator behind building of the pool and getting all the other clubs to join in.
He gave a lot of presents away to the elected council people. I remember when I first got elected, he sent me a big barrel of food and booze and everything, and I sent it back and said, I'm not accepting that. It's too much.
A lot of times they had advertising on the table who to vote for, and I think it was pretty common knowledge that they tried to instruct all the employees on who to vote for, because somebody was always trying to get rid of the clubs.
Well, at that time, the approach was to try to get a vote to vote the card clubs out of the community. And one election, they came within, I think, 800 votes of doing that. I think they got the card clubs to take a different attitude about how they'd be in the community, and it became more like business operators rather than trying to control all the elections.
Ernie was from Texas. He came to Los Angeles as a young man, and he became part of the Los Angeles street scene. And that's when he got involved with opening up these casinos in LA.
Where we're going right now is the original site of the first club in Gardena, which was called the Embassy Palace. It was started by Ernest Primm and Frankie Martin, and they brought along one of their employees, Russ Miller, in 1937. They had run an illegal gambling place on Washington Boulevard above a coffin factory.
So one night, a police captain came up, and apparently he was well known to everybody there. He said, I'd like to go in, and they said, okay. So he went in, and everybody that was playing at the tables suddenly tried to get out because they thought they were being raided.
When Mayor Shaw got voted out as mayor of Los Angeles and Bowen came in, they had a reform movement. So they shut down all the illegal gambling. And Primm and Martin and Miller decided to come to Gardena. They operated for quite a while before the sheriff's department came in and raided them, shut them down, along with the Gardena Police Department.
The whole idea of poker in California was that poker was not gambling. Poker was a game of skill. So they called the clubs, card clubs, not casinos.
I guess way back when the gold miners and everybody played poker, it was a game of skill. It wasn't so much a game of chance. They would allow the poker because it was a game of skill, but no other gambling.
The old senators that wrote that original law didn't want to put themselves in a position where they couldn't play poker. And so they just left the word poker out. So all those years had listed every game you could possibly think of, craps and roulette and et cetera, but no poker. And that's when they decided to go to court and see if they couldn't get a judge to agree that playing the game of skill, poker, was legal, and they did win. After I first met Primm, he asked me to come up to Reno and see his club up there, which is the Primm. So I flew up there. When I arrived, I met him. Then he had to go do some business, so he left me down in the casino. I thought if I had an account, there was a shoe store, I'd go buy some shoes from him because they would be my account. So I'll go over to the crap table and I'll shoot some craps. You know, I thought that would make him happy. Well, when he saw me there, he looked down the pit and he says, Nicholson, he says, you know, in horse racing, you can beat the race, but you can't beat the races. And here, you can't beat the odds. So don't even bother with it, he says. I don't want you gambling in my place. I said, I don't gamble, really. He says, that's good.
Did you know Ernie Primm, Larry?
Sure, they fired me.
Ernie Primm fired you?
Fired everybody on the floor, he fired. Boom, one time.
Ernie or...
Ernie Primm, the guy that went the rug, you know? Gary is his son. Yeah. He fired
everybody.
I was the board man then, in 1969. Fired the whole floor. 10 minutes later, He goes back out. He said, "Look, who's gonna do the crew." He didn't fight over it. Ernie Primm was eccentric.
Yeah.
He used to be the king of the town, but there's no more kings no more.
In the late 50s, when there was real controversy in Gardena about whether they should continue the casinos or not, the Rainbow Monterey clubs did a poll and found out the majority of people were opposed to casinos in Gardena. Registered voters were. And so they decided they better do something to improve their public relations. So they published a magazine called Town Magazine, and it included, among other things, drawings for housewives for small appliances. They would also show council members that they wanted to feature. Lots of pictures of Gardena activities, Gardena kids. It was informative, a small mailer.
And we also, as part of that promotion, we had a coupon that the citizens of Gardena that had children could send in to be a part of the Gardena Fun Day Club. The children on their birthday were then invited to go to Disneyland completely free at the expense of the card clubs.
They would give you ticket books and a bus to go out there and a chit for a box lunch, and the kids were able to take one parent with them. That was great.
Not long after they started that program, the poll came out, they took another poll, and the great majority of people wanted to have card clubs in Gardena. So they turned the thing around with that, turned the tide with that kind of public relations effort.